happy International Women's Day, everybody. It's so lovely to see you. On behalf of Sime Darby Motors, welcome to our International Women's Day event. My name's Kylie Gillies. You may know me from Channel 7's The Morning Show, but in this context, I'm here as Parramatta BMW's ambassador, and I've proudly been that for several years now. We think today is an important day, so does Sime Darby Motors. They're a big supporter of equal opportunities for women within business and also the wider community. And I'm sure you know, but you've been asked to vote for your favourite charity, and the company will be donating $15,000 to that charity. You will know who the successful charity is by the end of the day. Globally, the theme for International Women's Day is Count Her In, Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. So to delve into that theme, we've got a couple of special guests for you today. Please make welcome Monica and Maddie. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Now, you may know Monica too as the National Sime Darby Motors ambassador. She gets to drive all the fancy cars. She doesn't have to settle for just one. She gets behind the steering wheel of all these gorgeous vehicles. Welcome, Monica. Good to see you. But you also will know Monica from, if you're a real estate fan, Monica is the director and founder of property concierge company Black Diamonds. If you're a fan of Lux Listings, easy for me to say, Lux Listings on reality TV, Monica also features on that. Hello.
Hi.
Happy International Women's Day. And also joining us is Maddie Proud. If you are a netballs fan, you will know Maddie as the co-captain of the New South Wales Swifts. And also in this context is the Denlo Volkswagen ambassador.
Yes, I get to drive a nice big AMROC. I'm very happy with that one.
The AMROC. She rocks the
I
AMROC.
I rock up to training, I rock it, and all the other little cars come in beside me. So.
Welcome. Well, let's delve into the themes today. Well, actually, we should say where we're coming to you from. This is the new state headquarters of Sime Darby Motors here in Rydalmere. It's pretty schmick. It actually smells like the inside of a new car. That's how new it is. Oh, smell that. Smells
good, yeah.
fantastic. So this is where we're coming to you from today. Maddie, we'll start with you. We quite like the accelerate analogy, don't we, as part of International Women's Day? Because, you know, we can relate to that as ambassadors. As a sports, you've come from a sports background. You live and breathe sport. You've represented the national stage or been on the national stage since you were about 16. So what does Count Her In mean to you?
I think there's so many facets to this, slogan, and it's so, I think, fitting for where we are at in female sports at the moment. I think we've obviously seen how much it's accelerated in the last few years, particularly off the back of the World Cup here in Australia, with the Matildas just absolutely captivating a whole nation and kind of world. And I think that what that's done for all female sports has been incredible. And for me, like you said, I've been sort of involved in professional sport for nearly sort of 13 years now. And to think it went from being in my sport, netball, my first paycheck was $7,000, and that was the most exciting thing to ever happen to me. And I shouted at all my friends' lunch at school. And now you're actually being able to make a living off of being a professional athlete. And it's even the role models that you now have. And I guess Count Her In is about just including women in the conversation. And we always had that phrase of you can't be what you can't see. And when you're growing up, it's, you're seeing all these male athletes, and I grew up with brothers, and you're watching the footy or you're watching the cricket, but I only realised that I could actually be a netballer until I went to the netball. And now I think we see netball and all female sports on the TV, in the newspaper. They are being counted in and are actually part of the conversation when it comes to sport. It's not just men when you think of sport, it's females as well. And I think we've still got a long way to go, but I think that the direction that we're heading on in is so exciting. And I think for young girls coming up now, the choices they have when it comes to sport is just incredible. And it's a very good time to be a young person involved in sport.
So let's count her in the sports sphere. Let's bring you in here, Monica. Invest in women. I reckon we're pretty good investments. Don't you reckon?
100%.
100%. What does that look like to you?
I think in our industry in real estate, and I think it's a very much male-dominated industry. So in my business, I think the key of my success, before I actually read some of the questions, I said, oh, wow. So look at my Black Diamonds group, right? So majority of us actually are female. So the reason I work with them and they empower me and we empower each other, I think that's the key of the success. So it's very tough to be in that tough industry, but look at us now. One of the only female principal in luxury real estate in the country, and last year top 20 real estate sold is by Black Diamonds, and majority of us are female. So from my general manager, office manager, social media manager, all female.
Was that a conscious decision? Did you go, I like working with females, we're really good at this, I'm going to encourage young females to work with me too? Did it happen naturally, or is that something you went out and tried to achieve?
Actually, I think it's very much intentionally. Yeah. I think, for us to stand out in this industry, we have to have our point of difference. I look at the female, right? So everybody say, oh my God, the females, how can they commit to such a tough industry? I think they can. So we are so multitask. So we're the mother, we're the wife, we pick up the kids from the school, we do the laundries, So we have to think so holistically, but real estate is such a detailed business. Yeah. And if I can give female opportunity to work together, I do understand them, they do understand us, I think we can make very different from everybody else. Okay. So yes, intentionally, I try to empower the female in my industry or in my company.
So Monica's looking after the women once they get to that working age and bringing them through. But also we see that you do some amazing work with young girls, and you've done this through writing. Because you may or may not, Maddie is an author. So not only can she play netball for Australia, she can write books as well. Tell us about the work you do encouraging little girls.
Yeah, well, so I thought, for starters, I loved reading, I loved writing as a kid, and I always used to read my brother's books. Again, they were about a young boy playing football and trying to make it to the AFL, and I sort of felt like there was a real gap in the market for anything about young girls playing sport, and in particular about netball. So I decided, why not write something that I would have liked to have read when I was a teenager, and my books, the first one's called Grace on the Court, the second one, very creatively, is called Grace Back on Court. But they're about...
And the third one will be Grace is still on the court.
Grace on the court again.
Extra time.
That's an exclusive, there you go. But it's about the transition from primary school to high school. So Grace is going into starting her first year, and I think, for me, and I know a lot of other young girls, that transition when you really are a kid to then starting high school, and you start to get exposed to so much more in life, and there can be a lot of other distractions, and I guess, the groups that you go into or the hobbies that you have outside of school can be pretty pivotal in what you end up becoming. And I know that for me, sport was my saviour, and I loved school. I, still to this day talk about my school experience as the best days of my life, and that was because I spent so much of it playing sport with my friends. And so I sort of had two goals when I wrote these books. It was, if I can encourage, one girl that loves reading to read Grace on the Court and want to play netball, or on the flip side of that, a girl that loves playing netball to pick up a book and start reading, because I guess stereotypically sometimes the sporty kids don't like reading, and the kids that like reading don't like playing sport. And I do find that there's such a good I guess relationship between the two, that if I can get one doing the other, and they're the nicest messages I get when I get a mum messaging me saying my daughter's never finished a book and she read, loves netball, so she read Grace on the Court cover to cover, or my daughter loves reading and she picked up yours and now she's going to go out and try out for the netball team, because sport brings people together and you learn so much from it.
She also has a master's in writing, so that helps. That helps just a little bit. So I guess when I'm sitting back here and what I'm hearing is that you are doing what you can in your field. So do what you know. So my area is media, so I can't sell real estate, but when I look at fostering women or mentoring women, it's in the media space, and what can I do to help a young producer? You know sport, so what are you going to write about? You're going to write about sport. You know luxury real estate, so you're going to do what you can in your own particular field. And in this case, for the women listening to this, it's all about what's happening on the showroom floor or behind the scenes in marketing or whatever. So do what you know is what I'm hearing there. Monica, if we look at who we are talking to here, the automotive industry. So traditionally, pretty much a male-dominated field, which you've said historically is also like real estate. So I read this quote, and it's about networking, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy this. Having access to powerful people makes it easier to become a powerful person yourself. So what we're getting here is you need to put yourself in an environment where you can have conversations, where you can build relationships. And I don't want to narrow this down too far, but I guess we'll be talking about like a golf day. So golf days typically skew more towards males than they are to women. So for the women listening here, how do they put themselves into positions where they're in a great position to network? So you're in real estate, again, a field that maybe these women can relate to in some respects.
I think, doesn't mean we cannot be join the golf day, right? Women can be really good golfer, but
But we don't want to, as women, we don't want to be allocated to just the cupcake day either. But that can happen, right?
Yeah.
So what's your advice there to the women who are looking to make things more inclusive?
Yeah.
Because that's how you advance, because you're building relationships.
I think that first of all, we look at who we are as a woman, so that we have our strength and we have our advantages, right? So for my business, I think for me to network, I'm known as a great networker, right? So I
don't doubt that for one moment.
I don't play golf.
Oh, you don't play golf, right? Okay.
Not at all. So I don't really drink whiskey, just saying, right? So that's normally males, like a network. So, but I love fashion. I love jewelries. I love philanthropy. Sometimes cupcake, maybe, right? Maybe high tea, just saying, right? So this is the way I network with the female. So, and sometimes males are welcome to join us as well. If we talk about the watch, events, so we welcome men to come along as well. But I think I look at what I'm good at, like you said, what I know, and who is actually could be my potential clients. Just saying, clients, because we have only 24 hours, right? So we have to really have that targeted market who we want to be associated with, right? So who is willing to give, join me for charities. So that's how I network. But of course, we're very busy. So I have a very targeted brand market, and we spend all the energies and bring the right people into that space. That's how we're networking.
I love this quote. The Assistant Commissioner of Victorian Police, Lauren Calloway, says in her leadership role, she aims for respect, professionalism and inclusion. But sometimes it's difficult being judged on, and this is her quote, being judged on what you aren't rather than what you are. So we're not men. We don't want to be judged for not being men. We want to be judged for who we are. She says she wants to be likeable but tough. So I guess, can you speak to that, Maddie?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I guess when I put it in this context of sport and particularly netball, we've had this kind of constant battle about traditionally, like I said, netballers haven't been paid enough to have a full-time job. So like you said, I've been to uni, I've got an undergrad and a master's degree. We finish, our training day and we've got a speech pathologist that goes off to work. We've got an OT, we've got girls that go and do coaching. And I remember sitting in this room with a whole bunch of representatives from all the teams, and it was like, we want to be professional, but we also actually want to keep what makes us us. And it was like, yes, we aren't fully professional yet, but one of the best things about female athletes, in particularly netball, is that they're such, kind of to use your words, well-rounded people. And we do have so many other skills because we've had to go and get degrees or go and work. And I think that's kind of what makes us what we are. So you're sort of at that danger point of being like, yes, we want to become, these really respected and, professional athletes and be like male athletes who are completely, full-time in what they do. But we also didn't want to lose what made us us. So I think that's where, again, we've made a real conscious decision to be like, all right, well, yes, we are starting to, bridge that gap between being able to become fully professional, but we also want to make sure that in our schedules, we still have time to do those things that make us what people kind of are attracted to, which is, have an education or have the opportunity to go out and work with the community or be able to go out and coach young girls and write books as well. So focus on what we are rather than what we aren't.
That's right. So that goes back to her quote. So you aren't a fully professional athlete, but you know what? You are this, and this. That's quite fabulous. That's quite fabulous. But you know what? We cannot do this on our own, and it's not just, and it shouldn't be just women out there trying to go it alone and forge this path. 80% of CEOs are men. So change, they say, must be multi-gendered. So we need to create respectful spaces for conversation and growth, which includes everybody. We don't want to be out there at our own events by ourselves doing stuff. It needs to be multi-gendered. Would you agree?
100%. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So, again, we're talking about business, right? So in my business, we're kind of just, working with just female or male.
Yeah.
We're working with the household. Okay, so that's why we have to include, and for, what we have done is, we have a such huge success in business. So we set the example for a lot of young people as well. A lot of wannabes want to be a real estate agent, or even I started my real estate agent, business when I was 47 years old,
You started in real estate
yes,
when you were 47.
I know. Yeah, 47. I'm like a 62, just saying, right? So that means, for young people, definitely it's the opportunity. And also for what about mid-aged women, right? Like myself, look at me now. So I think for some, reason, I become an inspiration for a lot of people with different, background and different age group. So we can just do it. Actually, inclusion is everything, okay? So
go for it. That's what she's saying.
Right?
47 when she started in real estate.
Yeah.
That brings me to this concept of intergenerational colleagues. So what we don't want to be doing as women is dismissing the millennials, because millennials, they're too young, what are they talking about? And by the same token, we don't want millennials to be dismissing baby boomers because they're too old, they're outdated, what would they know? So we're talking about inclusion that looks like women, but it also looks about this beautiful workspace. And I know in TV, we have young people who are up on the TikTok trends and whatever, but they're also the more senior producers who can make judgment calls very quickly and know, what is the right thing to do in when split decisions have to be made in real time about what you can and can't put to air. So I think that's also an interesting point that we should touch on. What do you think, Maddie?
Yeah, well, in netball, I'm now in the old, we play a volleyball game at the start of every training and it's oldies versus youngies. So we do actually split us up more just to see that the oldies have still got it when it comes to the push and shove. But no, I think I'm actually noticing as well with a lot of the younger girls that we have in our team, we have, girls, a 19-year-old, and I think actually giving them a voice, and I guess this goes back to what this International Women's Day is about, and I'm seeing so much more from the younger players that come through that they have so much to say, and I guess that's the environment that we've been able to create in sport, but also just as a society, I guess, that people do want to speak up, and that maybe is when it comes down to social media. And I think about our grand final last season, we went into overtime, we were down by about 8 goals at half time though, which in netball is, you don't usually come back from that. And, you usually look to, I'm the co-captain, me and my other co-captain, we're sort of there saying a few things, but it was the 19-year-old that at halftime stood up and said, we just need to go ball by ball, play by play. And she ended up saying, I can't even remember exactly what her words were, but we all just kind of looked at her and were like, wow, the fact that the 19-year-old who's been on and off the court for sort of 5 minutes a quarter here and there, but she ended up being the one that really stepped up. And it just shows that just because I'm the captain doesn't mean that I have to be the one that says it. You can actually empower the younger ones to say something, and vice versa. I can still do a TikTok with the young kids. Might not get as many views as theirs does. I can't do any dancing ones.
Yeah,
I can do
an ACL or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
I need to steer clear from any of the acrobatics. But there's so much value add when it comes to, and you do realise that no matter what the age is, you've still got so much in common. And I guess for us, that does come back to having netball as well. But I learn so much from the younger players as much as they probably look to us senior players for advice as well.
Yeah, so it's not looking at someone as a woman. Don't look at them as a 19-year-old. Look at them as a valued team member. Would you agree, Monica?
Oh, yes, 100%. And so, for my team, so actually I love to work with millennials. I think they give me so much inspiration, right? Talk about social media. I think I'm probably a bit of queen of Chinese social media, just saying, right? So, I can't believe my TikTok in Chinese TikTok, I got like 1 million hits. But all the inspiration is from my team. They're only 20-something years old. Some of the words they teach me, I said, wow, really? Seriously? Is that how you say it? But that's keep me going, right? So keep me young, keep my mind active, and keep the business actually always in touch. So we never go behind. It's always moving forward. I think, like any age is welcome.
Just making sure everybody has a seat at the table and everyone's listened to. It's really good.
100%.
What would they be learning off you, do you think, Monica?
I think learning, you mean the millennial learning from me? This is like really interesting. Some of the, my fans from Lux Listing, they're from like 13 years old, right? So seriously, because they love the show. Maybe not just me, but it's actually it's experience for people from my background, so you are a migrant, right? So when you first come, you didn't even speak English. Look at you now. So you're on social media. You're the reality superstar, right? In our field, and such huge success in the business, right? So if she can do it, or definitely can do it too.
And you're in Sime Darby headquarters.
If she can
dishing
do it,
advice.
my mom should do it. Right?
Absolutely. As we wrap up today's conversation, I perhaps would love to leave everybody with a word of advice, or the best piece of advice that perhaps either of you have been given, either in your personal lives or in your work lives. Is there one thing that resonates and that maybe is a guide to you through your work life?
I think for myself is I think this is what I remember from my grandfather, is just be yourself, be confident. So you are unique. you are special. I said, seriously? I said, yes, you are. So because of that, I always being authentic to myself. I always try the best to be myself. And that's what you can see. And, that's the key of my success. Just be true to myself.
And Maddie?
I was literally going to say exactly the same thing, and there was a very specific example for me when I got that advice. And I got made captain of the Swifts a lot earlier than I thought I would. I'd only just moved to Sydney from Adelaide. I'd only played for the team for 1 year, was still quite young, and I got voted by my peers. And I remember thinking, oh God, okay, I'm about to go into a leadership role. I need to do this, this, and this. Trying to read the leadership books about how to be a good leader. And I think it was one of my teammates just turned to me and they said, we voted for you because of who you are, not of who we think you are. And it's about, obviously there's ways that you can grow and evolve and learn as a leader, but going back to what you said, it's about being yourself and being authentic and still being able to, learn about how you can improve, but doing it in a way that's very genuine to who you are. And I think that maybe, I guess, in terms of business, when we're talking to that audience, it's like, if you go into that leadership role, you don't all of a sudden have to change everything about yourself because you've probably been put into that position for a reason. And always staying true to yourself and your values and who you are. And then at the end of the day, you can always go back to that and be sure that if you have to make a tough conversation, or make a tough decision, or have a tough conversation, if it always goes back to who you are at your core, then you're always probably going to do the right thing.
I love that. I love that. On this International Women's Day, thank you both so much. Monica and Maddie, our beautiful ambassadors, thank you for sharing your insights and your words of wisdom on this International Women's Day. My best piece of advice was never let Larry Emder have the last say. So we didn't invite him today, so I've guaranteed that I've had the last say today. Thank you both so much.